Check, check, mic check. Hey, Kirk. Hello, hello, hello. Let's get rolling. All right, all right, all right. Good evening, good evening. Kirk, how was your trading day? Mine was good. Ended on a pretty good note and had a huge haul. So on micros, so very happy with that. How about yours, Kirk? Do you have a good day finishing off that eval soon? Day or two? Hopefully you did. So lots of good stuff happened today. Some difficult things happened today too, where I traded improperly. So studied that in the evening and saw what mistakes I made and will not be making those again, hopefully. So let's head over to the charts though and get ready for the next day. Nothing we can do but prepare, right? Okay, so tomorrow, very key. We've got FOMC and PPI in the morning, and then FOMC at 2 o'clock, which is typically a two-stage run. 2:30 p.m. is where you get the larger run. So we shall see what happens there. Plus 350 today. Awesome, awesome. Good job, Kirk. That's killer. I love it. So always good to profit a little bit. And so let's take a look over at our charts here today. So these are our daily charts here. Actually, let's start with the weekly. So this is our weekly chart. We know that we have been eyeballing not only this monthly intermediate term high, but this weekly imbalance as well as this daily imbalance, which in Asia we are currently consolidating. So we'll take a look at today's price action, but also in terms of a weekly draw, I think that we are actually going to be headed I think we're going to be headed actually up to that weekly bearish order block at least. And then we'll see if we see a bit of movement to this bearish order block. Maybe we retrace a bit and then use that intermediate term high as a mitigation block to head even higher. So that's what I think is going to happen. We'll see if this bearish order block gets respected or if we trade up even further into this weekly imbalance, and that is a weekly SIBI that we're going to be taking our eyes on. So with that bias in mind, can you short during this? Yes. Would you want to be shorting during something like this? Well, maybe after you wait for confirmation. So I know that there's some folks that went short today. This itself, there's a inversion fair value gap within this segment of price action here. So I would be curious if we treat this as a inversion fair value gap right when we hit the midpoint here of this daily imbalance, and then head down to equilibrium to take some imbalance here. So what could equilibrium be? So this swing low to swing high roughly is here. If we head up to that daily SIBI and maybe that weekly, that turns into that weekly 50% equilibrium point, ends up getting closer and closer to that 1 month intermediate term high. So even note this retracement here, it didn't last very long, right? Came down to a daily intermediate term high and then completely reversed for the past 5 days. So we are definitely not on a bearish consideration until we see potentially reaction at this inversion fair value gap, this bearish order block, or potentially the weekly premium SIBI low that hangs above us. So yeah, I think that that's going to be our draw still. Let's look down at the 60-minute. Actually, let's look at the 4-hour. Same thing on the 4-hour. We see price spiked up and down both ways today. Did not close below, really too far below the midpoint of the Asian range, and then we continued up higher. So that is going to be something that we note in the lower time frames. Okay. 4-hour, same draws on liquidity. The daily SIBI low was our draw today before we started and before we had CPI. So when we started to see price hold, then we were okay to be confident to move forward. On the hourly, we've got a few things that we could look at today. So on the hourly, we scrunch in a little bit. You see how yesterday we had Asia creating a large range, London fitting within that range, and then we saw expansion. Once we took out sell side, we saw expansion to the upside on Monday. Well, kind of similarly here, we have a short-term low here. We had a bullish order block here. And what does price head down to before bouncing? Straight to that hourly bullish order block, which has not been traded to efficiently yet. So the high on this was 16,400. The low on this was 16,401.25. This came down to equalize that and then headed higher the remainder of the day. We capitalized on that run as well. So that was a huge run. It was a fantastic run. So one thing that I could have done better is I was over trading in this segment here, thinking it was going to go long, whereas I should have just looked to the hourly, saying, hey, where's my draw on liquidity? Where's my bullish order block coupled with a fair value gap, even though it's a small one? Where is that? Can I take that? Let me set an order, and when it heads down there, then I will engage it. Being bullish, that's what I should have done. If we take a look at this, we have the swing low here to swing high here. What is that level? Equilibrium. We start getting into optimal trade entry areas, right? So yeah, I think that we really started to should have combined a bit of data at the time. Whenever we form that swing high, I should instantly what I should go down to is what's optimal trade entry, where's the equilibrium within this swing range, because that's where we're going to retrace to if we have a shot. So that's something that when I was looking back, some of the mistakes I made today, that's what I missed. I missed the hourly time frame analysis, and that was just me being too myopic. So I'm glad I got to see that. I'm glad I was able to see this in retrospect, and I'm glad I was able to journal about this in retrospect. I will not mention anything about being bad or missing the thing, missing the play, having trading too much. My journal really just states, and I can show you, an example of what my journal states here. Let me see if I can take a screenshot of this, because I don't want to show everything in this Discord. Okay, so in the Discord, that is my own personal journal. This is what my journal entry looks like today. Example, what I learned myself today after I realized it. I mentioned that CPI gave both sides a run, buy side first, then sell side. I'm glad I saw the hourly order block and prepared to take the 1 minute 2022 model once we broke above that order block. I'm glad I did not keep looking towards a direction that retail would be looking, and instead at a key level, determined that I can look for a setup at that bullish order block on the 1 minute chart that provided a beautiful entry sustained throughout the rest of the day. Had a wonderful day leading 20 contracts of micro NASDAQ a bit over leveraged through and taking profits at 10 handles and letting the rest ride the remainder of the day to the daily SIBI low, my original draw on liquidity. Grateful to have seen that and to be able to see these. Can't wait for another day like this. Note however, I did not need the lower than one time frame to enter. I could stay calm and see the change in market structure and see. Note the difference. You can still see the displacement on the lower time frame and see structure and discount fair value gaps, though. Worth studying. That is an example, and you'll see I can click into any one of these as well. That's an example of a journal entry. Did I mention anything about how I overtraded? No. Did I mention anything negative about what I did today? No. Did I chastise myself for having bad things on the chart, or having Asian session, or having the sessions on the chart? No, right? All that, and you'll see that in the chat as well. You should do this, you should do that, right? Sure, I read all those, but you have to decide for yourself, is that valid feedback, and can you incorporate that, right? Same way I do. So damn those onions. Damn those onions. Who cut those onions? Nah. Damn poetry. I'm not crying, you're crying. So that gives you an example of what and how I journal. And then, of course, I can then go, I think this is probably safe to show. So then you can kind of see how I can click into each of these. I have my weekly higher time frame charts. I have my daily charts to remind me what the market structure was like at the time. I have key moments that I wanted to highlight, key things that I wrote about highlighted, so I can remember what happened, and my brain can quickly remember, oh yeah, that was where we hit a daily or a bullish order block on the hourly, where I could take a 1 minute entry in. And then I can see like the long entry that I took once we broke above the daily level there, the SIBI. I knew we were going to likely draw towards the 25% mark, the 16,587. And I have examples of where I overtraded. I have them here so that I can review them, right? I know this is bad, and I need an example to look at, so I'm being like, wow, what was I thinking there, right? Why was I trading so much? No reason to. And then the lower time frame for reference. This is something that I can refer to and say, hey, on the 5-second chart, this is what I would have seen. So examples like that get pulled in, and that's how I chart. So nice little example. Mo TV, yo, what's up, Johnny? Passed another 50K today. Secured a total of 200K. Awesome, brother. Now, just keep in mind, IB in the past 2 weeks. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's killer. Keep it up, Mo. I hope you pay for the lifetime, not the recurring $80 monthly fee, because it's just worth more. And if you can hold it on to it for a few months, you have a much higher likelihood of passing these accounts and passing the performance to the point where you can take your first withdrawal, which is an awesome thing, right? So keep it going, stay disciplined, Mo TV, you're killing it. Keep it up, and you'll do great. You'll do great, and I can't wait to hear more about your success. Definitely tweet me or something. I am on Facebook and Instagram, just I don't check those as much. I check Twitter more, but definitely tweet me and let me know about your. It doesn't matter, don't let me pressure. Like don't take any pressure. Like, who gives a F what I think, right? But if you do find success, definitely tweet me and let me know. Okay, so let's go back to the charts though. So today's price action. Remember, how I had mentioned that we want to see Asia's range move forward. Now, Asia's range looks a little bit different on the hourly candle. We have to go down to a lower time frame for us to really truly see this, but on a higher time frame, you can kind of see how, in general, you kind of see how price had this open. You had a low, you had a high, and then you had a close right there, right? So you kind of see how this candle structure for the day comes into play. So this happens every single day. Every single day this happens. And we like to see, when we see something like this in Asia, we like to see, okay, well, where is it going to try to run for first? And lo and behold, price ran for the buy stops, stopped just short of the daily draw, and then ripped down, taking everybody else out there. All the longs that went long there. We'll look at that a little bit closer on the lower time frame to see how much of a Judas swing that was. But note that I did not have this on my charts. I should have. This is a untouched bullish order block when we are generally bullish. Now, we did have this monthly intermediate term high, which I admit I had thought that potentially we could use this and this could be the drop, but on the lower time frames, as we saw price continue to reject and bounce from this point, that should have immediately invalidated the short-term bias of going short right when we bounced off of this hourly bullish order block. So going down to the 15-minute, we see a little bit more flavor here. We see that we had initial run up for, we had this run up all the way up until right before CPI. CPI hits, spikes, takes everything out to the downside, bounces off of that hourly order block, and actually a 15-minute order block as well, and then continues to rise the rest of the day. There were a lot of different things to look for here. Sell side was taken here as well. And once we took that and bounced back up from it, that could have been a key indication that helps you know, hey, we're on side if we're long, if we're risk on. So this was in confluence as well. The lows here of 16396.50 are higher than the highs here, or actually lower than the highs here, 16400. So we should have seen that on the 15-minute, but we couldn't have possibly known that. So let's go down to a 5-minute. Oops, I don't need to do that actually. I have a 5-minute chart right here. 5-minute chart, right? So we actually took out a short-term low here, and that happened to be the hourly bullish order block at the same time. There also happens to be an order block here and roughly here as well. We don't trade all the way down to some of these fair value gaps, but we do trade to an hourly one. And what happens right when that happens, we see displacement upwards and movement higher. Now, what's really key is when we go down to the 1-minute time frame, right? Disregard this $22. I was trading in Asia session a little bit. So that same part here, right? Now we know that during CPI, we had this spike up, come back down, come to the midpoint, and then head even down further, where we kind of saw a rough displacement here. But once we traded down to that bullish order block, immediately we broke this short-term high with displacement here. So we could have gone in low risk long had I just been watching the 1-minute alone. So that chart, that entry would have gotten you in at a low of 16432.75 on a conservative entry. 16432.75. That would have netted you into the London close and afternoon. That would have netted you well over 100 points, 100 handles. So this is one of the ones that you don't need a lower time frame than 1 minute. 1 minute seems to be all you need because you can see displacement easily. You can see that at a key level, price bounced up, right? So that is something that I missed today. I will be very cognizant of looking back at that type of charting to make sure I don't miss anything in the coming days. So yeah, so that is it for the previous day's charting. We need to take a look at what Asia is doing now, right? So remember, kind of like how we had Asia session mapped out over here, we're going to transpose this over here now and assume that we can use the same thing for Asia's range, but up here. So we don't know if Asia is going to stop at these levels here. We're just not sure. So we'll have to wait to see if any of these price actions break out. So a couple things to note here. If we go to the 15, or let's go back to the hourly, actually. This is on a 5-minute chart. So let's go back to the hourly chart. And we see that there's fair value gap 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bullish order block captured with this fourth one here. Let me remove some of these things. Okay, so we have a bullish order block here. And we can also see that there's a top of that bullish order block here, and particularly the mean threshold of it there. So with this one, this open is 16,497. And we are going to keep an eye on this. For tomorrow. Okay. So we need to see in London, we want to see a little bit more consolidation, or maybe a little dip into here and then a retracement and then a dip lower, potentially on Wednesday. FOMC is going to jack a lot of people up. If you aren't done trading by 9 or 10 in the morning, or 10 or 11 in the morning, just stop for the rest of the afternoon when you're done and wait for FOMC to happen. Unless you're trading oil, that's maybe one exception. If you're trading /CL, which I plan on trading, that's the only exception where if on a crude oil inventory Wednesday, generally there's a lot of volatility. So worthwhile checking out while you're waiting for NASDAQ to come clean and show us which way it wants to go tomorrow. So nothing currently, but we do still have our higher time frame biases, right? So you know that there's daily levels above us. There's a daily consequent encroachment immediately above us. So I do think that we're going to head towards that. And then, of course, the weekly SIBI low. That is the ultimate draw on liquidity right this moment within this week. So we'll see if we get expansion further. And yeah, I think that's really all we can wait for right this moment. It's not much you can do about this type of price action. It is very hard to trade this. It's moving at a snail's pace. So why trade Asia, right? So that's about it, though. Let me open the forum. I'm looking at the chat to see if there's any questions. Are there any questions either on today's price action or tomorrow? Hopefully this has been insightful. Price action review for the day. Hopefully this will let you give an idea of what and where to take to enter. And yeah, I will be live with everybody tomorrow. I'm taking Wednesday and Thursday PTO as well. But this time, I believe there's no meetings on Wednesday I have to leave for. But Thursday, I actually can only trade in the morning, and then I'll have to take a little bit of hiatus to go to the courthouse. So yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Cool. Yeah, we'll see if we can continue to make some pretty ridiculous days happen this week. Remember, the month of December generally more bullish than bearish. Overall bullish is generally the theme, and consider that it's an election year. We could still get a little bit of a retracement, but they're probably not going to let the market crash during a election year. Okay, so we'll keep this one nice and quick. I know these tend to, if I go into a deep rabbit hole of one of those topics that comes to mind, then we can take a little bit longer. But I want to let you all off. I want to let you all get to sleep earlier. Maybe watch a few other YouTube videos and stuff like that. And yeah, I appreciate you being here as well. Just drop in the comments on the YouTube video if there's any questions. But we'll look to see if we can continue the trend and see if Monday's low indeed ends up being the Monday low for the week. We'll see if we can be so fortunate to have that occur, because that would be crazy. That would mean we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of straight green. It's insane. So, yep, I think that is all for today. I don't see any other questions in the chat, so today in the afternoon was a really interesting session. It is a high resistance run that happened, so not the most best fast run in the world, but we saw it was a draw. We let it happen. So, yep, Ray, thanks. Yep, absolutely. Appreciate you all being here, and if there's any way I can help, let me know. I think, I don't know, what are we at now? Let's take a look. YouTube. Let's see. It's recent search. We're at 883. That's cool. That's kind of crazy, but just to think that 3 months ago we were at less than 50. So appreciate all of you for being here today. And I couldn't do this without you. I think having you here helps me stay more accountable, and I want to make sure that I'm accountable for you. So with that, we will call it a night. Get some rest, stay hydrated, make sure you drink a lot of water, and we will catch up bright and early tomorrow. I'll try to get up in the morning. Russell, thanks for the analysis again, just watching. Yep, absolutely. Let me know if you ever have any questions, okay, Russell? I will try to be up early tomorrow, pre 7 o'clock, because I want to be up. I keep saying I want to be up, but I don't make it up. I want to be up because there is the core PPI happening at 8:30, and I want to see if there's a run up at 7 o'clock to be taken. So with that, I wish you good night and good trading today. Have a good rest, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay, see you later.